Welcome back to Bedhaven, the safe place for safe plays. Back again for the Shriners Open in Las Vegas. Last week we saw the PGA Tour go to Utah for the first time in 60 some odd years. Matt McCarty, Korn Ferry champion, not the actual Korn Ferry champion. I don't know if he won that tournament or not, but has won like 3 out of his last 8 starts, 6 starts, something like that. The guy's on an absolute heater right now. This week at the Shriners, we're going to talk about some of the guys that we like a little bit different than our typical format for golf, since it's still the fall season. These fields are a little bit weaker, a little bit harder to predict. I think there's more variance than your actual full season for the 2025 season, which will probably kick off in January. So once we get that back, we'll go back to these standard format videos. But for now, we're just going to talk about guys we actually like and think can pull off the victories in these lesser fields here. So Chandler, I know you got a couple guys lined up on your list here, so let's hear it.
So I didn't see last week's, but now we have some stats that we can look at. We can dive into that, and something that jumped off the page for me was Seamus Power in round 4 last week, who is a Las Vegas resident, and this is one of his home courses. He lives in Las Vegas. His dad actually owns a bar in Vegas called The Bar. Last week, round 4, he was number 1 strokes gained on approach in the field, shot 6 under, ends up finishing T11 for the week. I just think that some of my key stats this week, it's going to kind of be a birdie fest. It's going to be wedges and putters, really. And, make sure you're in play off the tee. And that's kind of what Seamus Power does. Even though his last name is Power, people think that he's a bomber. He's not really a bomber. He's a wedge and putter guy. Course setup is perfect for him. He knows the course well. Kind of a hometown advantage. He's probably going to have a lot of people out there cheering for him, and obviously playing well, showing that he flashed the irons last week. He will probably be my best outright bet. He's 9,300 on DraftKings, which is pretty high up there. But you're getting 33 to 1 on FanDuel. I think that's a pretty fair number. He's my favorite play, I guess you could say, this week, even though we're not really going into specific plays. I've got a couple names. I know you have a couple names as well. But for me, my first guy I want to talk about is Seamus Power.
Nice. I've seen a lot of people backing Seamus. Obviously, he plays out of TPC Summerlin. Like you said, it's his home course. Did you say he led the field in strokes gained approach in round 4, or was that for the tournament?
In round 4,
Okay.
round 4.
All right. Yeah. The only thing I'll say about kind of how you suggested the course will be set up with wedges and putters. Have you looked at the weather at all?
Mm-mm.
So Thursday after like 1:30 in the afternoon, they're expecting gusts up to 39 miles an hour. So I'm still waiting to kind of see how that's going to change, but I do think we're going to have a wave advantage here with the AM PM guys.
Okay.
Friday, I think everybody's going to pretty much be screwed. It's from forecast right now, it looks like gusts in the morning of 39 miles an hour and gusts in the afternoon of 35, so pretty much windy all day. I've been kind of using that to my advantage to try to find some of the guys that play better in wind here. First guy I'm going to talk about, someone that I've discovered that has the ability to, go low or even just low compared to the field and windy conditions, is Chan Kim, 60 to 1 on FanDuel. That's where I've currently bet him. Chan Kim had a lot of people backing him in this kind of fall season here. He showed flashes of, the ability to compete in some of the weaker field events. You've got T8 at Mexico Open, a T6 at Punta Cana, that's the Corrales, T12 John Deere, T10. So all of the weaker fields. So in the fall season where you see, much less competition as far as, none of the top players are really in these events, I think everybody kind of expected him to show out, and he hasn't really done that yet. But what I am noticing is I'm noticing a bit more consistency with the putter. There was a certain point of the season last year where he was just bleeding strokes on the green. Now you're not seeing positive strokes on every single tournament, but you are seeing a more consistent to 0 putt here. And he sort of disappointed last week with a T46 finish. I am going to take a strategy that I use in NFL often, and I gave it to you yesterday with Garrett Wilson on the chart flow. Just kind of there is a science to this stuff. Obviously, there's obviously variance involved, but Chan Kim's chart for his strokes gained total is just screaming at me. So that was part of this play. I think a lot of people are going to jump ship here, and I do expect him to have a little bit of the ability to compete in this field. So Chan Kim 60-1. We'll see how it goes.
Okay. My next guy is going to be Harry Hall, 8,400.
You're on the Vegas train right
now.
Yeah,
another Vegas guy, another resident of Vegas, another home course. He's just playing pretty good golf right now in general. Even if this wasn't his home course, he is 7th in this field in last 36 rounds putting, which is going to be probably the number one stat this week is going to be strokes gained putting. You're going to have a hot putter to win this golf tournament. But not only that, he's also gaining 0.6 shots per round tee to green right now. So doing a lot of things well. I think that this is a good flyer to take, kind of a mid-range DraftKings play, 45-1, home course, good putter on a course where putting is going to be crucial. So yeah, taking a shot here on Harry Hall.
Yeah, I don't think his history is very good here, but you could argue that he's playing much better. Well, actually, no, his history is good here. So let's throw that out the window. Yeah, I mean, recent winner, he won the ISCO, which was the Barbasol maybe before. Is that the opposite format or the whatever that format? I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, I think local ties, which obviously you're holding a lot of weight into the local ties here. Yeah, I could absolutely see it.
Yeah, he's got a lot of green flags. I mean, last couple trips out here, T8, T15, T26. Last two events, T35, T18. So just playing good, going back to somewhere familiar. We'll take a shot.
Yeah, and it looks like he's bless you, Jesus. You're right.
I'm good, I think.
Looks like his short game too has been pretty solid for the most part. And if the windy conditions is what I expect it to be, you're going to see a lot of guys missing greens, and they're going to have to be up and down.
And this course does not have a lot of defense, but the one defense it has is the around the greens.
Right.
Can be tricky-ish. In general, though, if we get good conditions, which I guess we'll see, it will be a birdie fest. But if all of a sudden we get like awful weather, then yeah, it will definitely change a little bit.
Yeah, you've seen like in the past, this tournament is like in the 20s as far as the minus number for the winner. There was one year, I think Patrick Cantlay in 2018 won at like 12 under. And I think it was similar conditions. Like it was either super windy or rain or something happened there. But yeah, this is historically a birdie fest. So I think Harry's shown the ability to go low and get to that bigger number as far as the birdies go. Let's see. The next guy I'm going to talk about is Nick Taylor. Nick Taylor is currently 65-1 on FanDuel is what I'm looking at. I got him at 90-1. I just honestly, like, before I even like knew what he did at the Black Desert Championship, I honestly just looked at that number and kind of looked at the rest of the field and thought that it was too high. Obviously, a lot of other people have as well, because now it's 65 instead of 90. So I'm kind of going for the narrative too that, you know, left off the President's Cup, rightfully so. I think at one point, obviously, he would have been in the conversation to be on that international team, and he just really didn't do enough. And finished decent last week, T25, had some decent stats across the board. So I do expect him to kind of play with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder in these upcoming tournaments that he's going to be in. He's obviously comfortable in like the deserty type conditions. He won the Waste Management Open in Phoenix. Not exactly a direct crossover, but there's obviously like conditions in those two courses. So yeah, 90-1 Nick Taylor. Like I said, I felt like the number was too high, and I think he has a chance to compete this week.
Okay. Next guy I want to talk about is, you guessed it, another Vegas resident.
I thought you were gonna say JT Poston.
Kurt Kitayama. Kurt Kitayama, last 24 rounds, is number one in this field strokes gained tee to green. He also was number 2 in the field last week for the tournament in strokes gained tee to green. If this guy can just putt a little bit, I really like his chances. He's playing really good golf. The putter has been kind of okay. Vegas resident. This isn't one of his home courses in the area. But yeah, Kurt Kitayama, I like a flyer on him. I actually don't have his odds, but I think
It's pretty short.
30 to 1
Yeah.
on DraftKings. So I got a lot of guys in that 30 to 50 range.
Yeah, I mean it's just a really short number. It was short last week as well, and he obviously showed up.
He played well. He had a bad
Is it one
just like Harry
Saturday
Hall,
maybe?
just like Harry Hall. He had a bad final round. He shot
okay.
1 over in the final round. Ends up finishing T25. Just like Harry Hall. Harry Hall was in contention, ends up having a bad round 4, shoots 3 over to finish T35.
Well, what was contention like? Do you know what he was after round 3? Because
I just know if you shot anything over par, that was bad because the guys who, like, just looking at the better guy. I mean, there was a lot of 3 and 4 unders, and obviously and better that were being shot. So the average was, I would imagine, the average was somewhere around 2-3 under. So if you shot anything over the last day, you were slipping.
Yeah, we've talked about it before though. Like a lot of these guys, if they're just like not in contention, they just kind of go out there and go through the motions. They don't really care. Like. And I know that Kitayama, I think he finished at 11 under. So if he shot 1 over, he was 12 under. And that just, maybe he knew that wasn't going to get it done. So
he finished at 13.
13? Okay.
So he was 14 going into the last day.
And what did McCarty finish? 23 maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a guy like Lucas Glover started the day at 10, ends up shooting 9 under, and gets all the way to T3. So Kitayama was beating Glover. That's something you guys need to consider when you're building these teams. You can't just look at these final results and go, oh my God, Lucas Glover played amazing. He should have won. Well, no, he played out of his mind on the final day and got back in contention. Kitayama was beating him by 4 going in the last day. Kitayama has a not so great day. Lucas Glover goes bananas. And all of a sudden you look at those 2 names and you think, wow, they must have, Glover beat up on him the whole week. And that's just not the case.
Yeah. I don't really. Those were my 2 only outright bets. As far as the rest of what I'm looking at here, I've got some top 20s that I think could maybe go a little bit under the radar, especially at the numbers that I'm looking at. One of the guys that I do like for kind of a sneaky finish is Erik van Rooyen. He's kind of had an interesting go at some of the recent tournaments. It's like all the places you would expect him to play well, he just never seems to. And just thinking about possible windy conditions, the South Africans, something about South Africans and windy conditions, it's always the air for me. But weaker fields, he's T4 at the Myrtle Beach Classic last year. Rocket Mortgage T6, like he's done, he's had some good finishes. T2 at the Cognizant. And that's kind of a crossover that I've been looking at is the Honda, formerly the Honda, the Cognizant. So I don't know. I think Erik van Rooyen has a chance to kind of just sneak into the top 20 here. That number on FanDuel is plus 300. I mean, I just feel like that's a pretty big number for a guy like EVR to be finishing in the top 20 in a field like this. And
yeah, I'm an EVR guy, although he's burned me the last couple of times.
He burned us at 3M for sure.
Yeah, we were all on him, and he just didn't show up. Yeah, don't really have a feel for him. He didn't pop in any stats or anything for me. So I don't know. But yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll close it out here with my final 2 guys that I'm kind of grouping together, even though their price isn't really comparable, but it's 2 of the Sea Island boys. It's going to be Killa Keith Mitchell and Patton Kizzire. Both doing, these are my long-term form guys. These aren't like recent form. My other guys are kind of more recent form. Patton Kizzire and Keith Mitchell, long-term form. They do something both really, really well that's going to fit this golf course really well, and that is make birdies, and make birdies specifically on par 4s. Patton Kizzire is number 2 in this field in birdie or better, and he's number 3 in this field in par 4 birdie or better. Keith Mitchell is number 1 in this field in birdie or better, and he's number 2 in this field in par 4 birdie or better. This is long-term form. This is just, kind of the type of golfer you need. You need to make birdies out here. Again, if we get really nasty weather, that could kind of change. But if you're building lineups I don't mind having like a putter lineup, really good putter lineup, really good birdie or better lineup, and maybe a really good like windy golfer lineup. That would be kind of how I'm building this week. But Kazire and Mitchell will end up on a lot of the same teams for me because I believe that they are the same kind of golfer that could have a good week.
Yeah, and the wind stuff isn't like, it looks like the weekend's going to be fine. So Thursday, Friday,
Right.
Thursday afternoon and Friday all day is what I'm seeing mostly. So you basically, you want to build, if that becomes, the final report shows that's exactly what it's going to be. You're going to want to build to where you can get your guys in position for the weekend, essentially. So the Thursday morning guys, if they look like they're going to be way better off.
What you're saying is there could potentially be a group that gets screwed on Thursday, and then everybody's going to get screwed on Friday.
Yeah.
So you could be playing in just the worst conditions back to back, and it'd be like, damn, well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Right now.
Or at least the Thursday morning potentially
Right.
guys, or we'll see, could get like a slight break.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any wind until like 1:30 on Thursday. And like morning is like 7 miles an hour. And then it kicks up to like 16 to 20 kind of sustained winds with gusts in the 30s. So like I said, it's not going to throw completely people out. You're not going to like, but it's going to mess some people up for sure. And like, if we get to Wednesday night and we still see that same exact forecast, I will be heavily favoring guys that are going off Thursday morning, hoping that on Friday, when everybody's having a tough time, which is how it looks now, that they'll already be in a decent enough position to not, completely screw themselves. So,
Okay. Yeah. I guess we'll have to keep an eye on that.
yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else for this tournament. Tom Kim's here. We didn't really talk about him. Back-to-back winner. Nobody's won 3 times in a row since.
Yeah, Tom Kim's kind of an unknown.
Steve Stricker did it once, I think. Same tournament, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Kim, this course obviously fits him well. The one concern I would have is he's not putting as well as he was.
Yeah.
Just long-term things. Now that this could just be a sweet spot for him where he gets on these greens and he just all of a sudden it clicks again. But yeah, his putting in general has not been as good. I don't know. Don't hate him for sure, but don't know if I love him at the number he's at.
Yeah, and as far as like some of these other guys in the field, Ricky's here. We saw Ricky play in the Sanderson Farms Championship, which was kind of, for the guy that we like, when we think of Ricky Fowler, we think of obviously more of an elite player. So seeing him in these fields is interesting.
Yeah, don't hate Ricky. You're getting a discount too on him.
He did just switch putters right before Sanderson. He put a Lab golf putter in the bag, gained what looks like 0.85 according to Data Golf across that tournament. Has had some success here. It's been a while since he's played it, or since he's had that success, but T4 back in 2019. So I don't know. I don't know if Ricky's just kind of tuning himself up, getting ready for 2025. If that's the case, I don't really see him like having that grind to go out and win one.
I think Ricky knows that at this point in his career, he better go out and play some of these events where maybe not everybody's playing. And that's a great strategy, I believe, because he is probably not the golfer that he was as far as like a week-to-week basis, but he can pop. And, even think about the tournament he won. It was the Rocket Mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of a similar-ish field to this. It was like, there was some names, but it wasn't like everybody was there. So this is kind of where he needs to be playing, honestly. And you're getting a pretty low price for a long-term elite golfer. And recently, looking at his stats, he's been fine. He's pretty neutral across the board. He's nothing wows you, but nothing really screams red flag either. So, don't hate it. T16 last time out here, or no, T16 last time out. Actually has not made the cut here, but he hasn't played here in a couple of years either. So
yeah, like his 3 missed cuts go back to 2021, and then like I said, that T4 came in 2019, a T7 in 2009 when this was called the Justin Timberlake something. That's all I can see is Justin Timberlake. The JT Classic.
it's probably a Justin Timberlake Open or something like that.
Yeah. All right, you got anything else for this tournament?
Nope.
Short and
That's-
sweet for this one. We'll be back in full swing during the full swing. But until then, we'll see you next time.